So I read Silver Elite by Danny Francis, and if you're like me, that didn't quite scratch the itch of an adult dystopian romance, did it? So today I have some recommendations for you that will help with that. Now let's start things off with the one that is most similar to Silver Elite. I know it's YA, but this is the book and series that Silver Elite wishes it could be, in my opinion, and that is the Arcana Chronicles series by Kresley Cole. Yes, technically YA, but the series gets darker and steamier as the books go on. You're going to start off with Poison Princess, which is book 1, and it throws you into this world that has just been destroyed by apocalyptic event. But the twist here is that all of the characters involved in this story are the literal embodiment of tarot cards. Each of them have unique powers, and they are thrust into this very Hunger Games-like match to the death for survival. So our heroine is actually coming to terms with her own identity and her own powers. She's struggling with trauma, with visions, and also with a love triangle. So we have Jack, who is the Cajun bad boy, rough around the edges but fiercely loyal. And there is one of the Arcana cards, Death. Also a bad boy, also enemies to lovers all around, and one of the most excruciating love triangles that you can imagine. Like I said, this is a YA, but it goes into much steamier, hotter, messier territory by book 3. So just stay tuned, it's coming. So if you're like me and you wanted a bit more emotional payoff with the end of the world drama than what Silver Elite delivered, then definitely this is the series for you to check out. I think that is a must read and a great place to start. So for sure, I think you should consider it. I also have a full series guide for this series over on the blog that I'm going to leave linked down below. I have been raving about this series for many, many years, and I think you should definitely give it a shot. And also you need to suffer through that love triangle just like I did. I mean, when I tell you that I couldn't decide between these two guys, it was so difficult. But let's get back to the adult, because that's what I promised you guys. And we're gonna start off with the one that doesn't hold anything back. Now, here at Under the Covers, we've been raving about this next series for such a long time, and I actually think that you should totally go into this one and just binge through the whole world. There's tons of books in this series, and one is just spicier than the other, and that is the Beyond series by Kit Rocha. You're going to start off with Beyond Shame, which is book 1. Now, this takes place in a post-apocalyptic world ruled by a conservative, class-based city where pleasure and choice are tightly controlled, but just outside of the city's walls, there is Sector 4, which is a rough and rowdy group that's living by their own rules. The heroine in the first book is Noelle, and she starts the story cast out from the city for moral crimes and ends up in the care of the O'Kanes, which are running the Sector 4. And what follows is both her sexual awakening and a journey of figuring out who she is without all of the restrictions. The romance with Jasper, a broody enforcer with a protective streak, is totally delicious, but this whole series leans a lot into polyamory, open relationships, kink, emotional found family, and there's a central rebellion building as the series goes on, with lots of political tension and tons of real high stakes. But it always stays rooted in the characters, in the emotional bonds, and of course in the sexual exploration as well. So if Silver Elite left you wanting more world building, more heat, and some actual grown-up stakes, this one will definitely deliver. And like I said, you can just binge through the whole series. The next one is more pandemic meets military style post-apocalyptic romance, and it's the Scorpio Syndrome series by Rebecca Zanetti. It kicks off with Mercury Striking, and in this world we had a bacterial infection that wiped out most of the population and left survivors a bit changed. Some become violent and others turn genius level intelligent, but they are very dangerous. So our heroine Lynn holds the key to a possible cure, and the hero Jax is a former soldier turned ruthless leader of a survival faction in LA. Now the chemistry between them, explosive from the beginning, but what makes the series work really well is the balance between fast-paced action, the conspiracy, the military, and just that steamy romance. There's forced proximity, power dynamics, and survival stakes that actually feel earned. So book 1 feels like a military thriller with heat, but it still leans hard into the emotional bonds that are forming between two people who have seen too much and just cannot trust easily. So think very much like tactical teams and gunfights and some zombie adjacent threats with lots of morally great decisions. So if Silver Elite gave you a taste of that danger and slow burn alpha romance and you wanted higher stakes, and some stronger plot, then this one definitely checks all of those boxes. Now for my next one, imagine if dragons literally tear through the sky and wreck the world. So that is what happens in the Fireblood Dragon series by Ruby Dixon. Now you may know her for the Ice Planet Barbarian series, but yes, she wrote dragons as well. First book is Fire in His Blood, which is exactly what you would expect from our monster romance queen. The heroine, Claudia, is a survivor in a ruined city, and she gets captured by one of the dragons, who just so happens to be capable of turning into a very large, very possessive humanoid version of himself, and things escalate quickly from there. So there's barely any civilization left, and humans are just trying to make it day to day, and the series does give you the full post-apocalyptic chaos, lots of primal energy, fated mates. It's steamy in that kind of over-the-top way that you get with Ruby Dixon, but somehow emotion sneaks in as well, and this world actually expands in very interesting ways across the books in the series. Obviously, this is not for you if you're shy about monster sex, but if you were reading Silver Elite and you were hoping for a bit more paranormal elements, or creatures, I should say, you were thinking maybe I want this to be hotter and maybe needs to have some claws, then this would be the place for you. Now for the next series that I want to recommend to you guys, this is actually what I would consider feels very much like Silver Elite but adult, and that is the Outlaw series by Elle Kennedy. It is definitely more in the erotic romance category, and it's a series that is basically set in a future where there was a devastating war that wiped out most of civilization, and the government that rose in that aftermath is totally authoritarian. So the enforcers control everything, including who gets access to resources, to sex, and to freedom. Hudson is our heroine, and she escapes from that controlled life and from her father, who just happens to be a powerful enforcer. Now she runs into the Outlaws, which are a group of rebels that are living off-grid and fighting for personal freedom. Connor is their leader. He is tough, dominant, and suspicious, of course, of strangers, but he also can't ignore her determination or the instant chemistry that there is between them. So their romance is intense. It's super, super steamy. Every single book in the series is. And it's built around consent and breaking free of old restrictions. So it leans into the idea of sexual liberation in a world that tried to take that away. You've got rebellion, survival, found family, and a strong heroine, in this case in the first book, that is learning what it means to choose her own future. So if Silver Elite hinted at a controlling dystopia, but it didn't go all in, this one delivers on that darker, sexier promise of a broken world that is trying to rebuild on its own terms. And the last one that I have for you guys here today is The Resurrection Chronicles by MJ Haag and Becca Vincenza. Think of True Blood and The Walking Dead having a baby. So that is basically what you're going to get with book one here, Demon Ember. This is very much for readers who love a gritty end of the world survival vibe, but also with otherworldly and protective heroes and a slow building, high stakes romance. So the world has just completely collapsed after a string of earthquakes that unleashed a plague of zombie-like infected creatures. Now the cities are destroyed, people are dying, and no one really knows what's going on. Our heroine Mia is trying to make her way back home through that chaos, but the path is full of monsters, both human and not, and then she meets one of the creatures. And he's not like the others, so he is gray-skinned, yellow-eyed, and terrifying the first time she sees him, but he can speak, he can think, and he seems oddly focused on keeping her alive for some reason. So their bond develops very slowly. It's layered with mistrust, with fear, with survival. If you're into some protective non-human heroes, think alien paranormal hybrid, and heroines who are just trying to survive the next day without losing their minds, this one is definitely going to hook you. It's got action, humor, emotion, and a good helping of weird. So if Silver Elite wasn't gritty or wild enough for your post-apocalyptic taste, then this one will definitely do the trick. And the next one that I wanted to include here today is one that I'm going to be reading very soon, because like I said, Silver Elite didn't quite hit the spot for me, and that is Heart of the Sun by Mia Sheridan. So this is coming out in May, and I think that this one for sure feels like it could be great for that. It's a second chance childhood friends to lovers story that throws them into a world of chaos and end of the world drama. So we have Emily and Tuck, who were inseparable as kids, but life pulled them apart, and now 13 years later, Emily is a global pop star and Tuck is freshly out of prison and trying to stay out of trouble. So now she needs a bodyguard and he needs a job. You can already see where this is going. It is enemies to lovers with a ton of unresolved feelings. The twist here is that right as they're navigating this awkward and slow burn reconnection, there is a massive solar flare that hits and knocks out the entire power grid, and society breaks down fast from there. So suddenly Emily and Tuck are no longer rich girl, pop icon, and broody protector bodyguard. They are just two people that are trying to survive in a world without electricity, without structure or safety. So this one is giving The Last of Us vibes, and also for me it makes me think of the song If the World Was Ending, which sounds like just such a romantic apocalypse, and I'm just here for it. I can't wait to dive in, and I definitely think that if you're looking for some post-apocalyptic romance that's emotional, tender, and also hits all the tension and survival, this one is definitely one to watch. So let me know if you've read any of these series or the books that I mentioned, or what are your favorite post-apocalyptic, dystopian, adult, or YA romances in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification for more videos from us. And if you want to know my full thoughts on Silver Elite by Dani Francis, head over to my reading vlog video so you can check out more.